Hey, my name is Larry Nordwick. Welcome to my studio, Creative Images Photography, and let me tell you a little bit about the work that I do. The evolution of my work, I started as a journalist, then became a very formal lighting photographer because that was the style of the times, and now everything is back to being journalistic and fun with some artsiness thrown in, and quite frankly, every couple that comes in here now, we have to adjust our style to a little bit because everybody kind of does what they want at a wedding now. So some weddings were more journalistic, other weddings were more formal. We have a lot of older couples still that book us that want all the formals. And I say this to my younger brides, if you have a mom that wants all those formal pictures and you want all the fun stuff, I'm one of the few photographers that can actually give you both, because I can have fun with you and do the modern and hip stuff, and that we can come back to your parents and give them the classic structured work that your parents' generation is going to want to see. I also want to talk about how different everybody is to work with. There are some people that I immediately realize they cannot do formal posing very well, so I will go more journalistic and candid with them to sort of loosen them up. While other people, you cannot shoot them candidly. They need posing, they need structure. Especially people that want to look thinner in pictures. One of the things that I learned years ago is how to make people look their best in posed pictures and yet not look artificial. One of the things I want to talk to you about is how we work at a wedding and how we pick our locations and how we make a plan up for the day. We don't just walk into a wedding and just start shooting without any kind of a plan. You need to know your locations. There's virtually no location in the Monterey Bay Area that I haven't worked in, at least multiple times. And so when you hire a photographer that has been in a location many times, you have a greater chance of getting better pictures, because every time I go to a venue, I find new things to work with there, and I combine them with the old things, and the pictures just become better and better and better. One thing that I'm mainly a shade photographer too. There's a lot of photographers that love to work in the sun, but I don't like to get people hot in the sun with the poor lighting over there. A large part of what we do is get people into a lighting situation where they're going to look their ultimate best. And that's one of the things that's been lost in the craft in the field now. With just pure journalism, people will just take pictures anywhere and ignore the lighting, and the lighting is what you're paying a real professional to do properly. And that doesn't mean that you have to bring a lot of big lights out and a big production. It just means that you need to be aware of where the good light is, where the people are going to look their best and also feel comfortable. For instance, I was at Carmel Mission not long ago, where I have spent about half of my entire wedding career doing, I think I've done over 500 weddings at Carmel Mission in my life, thanks to my local Sicilian community. But we were taking pictures in this beautiful spot by the bougainvillea in the shade, and I saw a team of 3 new young photographers run out with their bride into the middle of the courtyard at high noon into the middle of the sun, and then turn their client straight into the sun. And what that does, you're making 25-year-old people look like 55-year-old people. It is just not a smart thing to do. So one thing you're getting with a master photographer like myself, who has studied light and understands facial types and the kind of lighting that we need to use on different people to make them look their best, is I'm always going to put you in the best possible location to make sure that you look the best in your pictures. Before a wedding, we often arrive early, or we scout a location previously if we haven't been to the location before. And I take my assistant around and I make her stand in various spots, then I look at the lighting and we look at where the sun's going to rotate for the day, and we make a plan for every hour of the day depending on where the sun is going to rotate to and how the shade's going to develop, and if the fog's going to come in or the fog's not going to come in. So one of the things that we find at a wedding, it's good to have this plan to always fall back on, but in the moment of the day, you've also got to be flexible, because you never know around here when the weather's going to change and the light's going to change everything, and we have to adapt and just kind of move with the flow. We usually make a loose plan on what we're going to do for the day, and that plan changes if the bride's late or if the light changes, but it's just good to know what you're going to do. I'm also the kind of photographer that will help direct you. So that you're not just put on the spot. I have a lot of bridesmaids that come up to me and thank me for directing the pictures because they've been at weddings where the photographers no longer direct and they just make the girls do the poses and they don't know what to do. You're hiring a professional to make these choices for you and to put you in the right spots and make you laugh and make you feel comfortable. Hopefully your time with me is one of your favorite parts of the day. What I'm mostly known for, the most important part of the day for me is I usually get about 20 to 30 minutes with the bride and groom with just them throughout the day. And we've usually kind of already got a plan in our heads of what we're going to do with them and where we're going to take them. And these are the pictures that often comprise a lot of the album when people pick their pictures up. We had a bride recently where all she gave me was a half an hour to shoot her and her husband, and the rest of the day was candid because she didn't think that she could photograph very well. And she was surprised that she took most of her pictures from the 30 minutes with her husband and her for her album selection, and not all of the candids that she thought she was going to take. I had a bride recently that talked me into doing her wedding completely candidly. And so with reservation, we did that, but I did talk her into giving me about 20 minutes with just her and her husband. She was a bride that was self-conscious and didn't like being photographed, and she just thought she would look better in candid pictures. It's funny though, in the end, when she saw the pictures that I took of her and her husband and the fun that we had while we took those pictures, because those posed pictures can look posed, but they can also look candid. I like to set my couples up in a way where we do the structured pictures that shows off their dresses and the classic shots that the mom and dad want. And if they're a silly couple, we'll do some silly shots. If they're a goofy couple, we'll do some goofy shots. If they're a formal couple, we'll stay formal with them. Every couple's completely different. But that one particular bride that we got to spend the 20 or 30 minutes with me couldn't believe how fantastic those pictures were, and most of them made it into her book over a lot of the candids. Actually, one of the coolest things about my point in my career now is that I've now photographed over 70 brides and grooms whose parents I have photographed. I even have a book on display here somewhere where I have a bride in her wedding dress that I photographed her mother in because it was her mother's wedding dress that she wore. Just on a separate note too, I'm not just a wedding photographer. As a matter of fact, most of my career, even though I've photographed over 1,300 weddings, I have been a true portrait photographer with the oldest studio in the area. I think we're now over 10,000 portrait sessions in my career here. So I've become the town photographer, and so many of my brides and grooms have come from their high school portraits or their kids' portraits that I did of them years before. But it's fun to have some of you folks out there that I don't know because you don't know my jokes yet, and I'll probably be a little bit more funny with you. So if you're interested in fantastic pictures and having a lot of fun with someone, give us a call at Creative Images Photography or check us out at larrynordwick.com. Thanks a lot.